Interesting things said by uninteresting people. You're hosted by Ben and Tom. Interesting things said by uninteresting people.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Interesting Things Said by Uninteresting People, a podcast where we talk about, I don't know, it sounds really crappy if you say random things. It sounds like you haven't thought about it.
We haven't.
Yeah, that's fair
We
enough.
did. We've got a list and everything.
That's very true. We have a schedule. Ultimate professionals. My name is Ben, and as always, I'm joined by the more technically minded half of the podcast, Tom.
Hello.
How's it going, mate?
Good, man. How are you? It's been a while.
It has been a while. It has been a little. It always is.
It always is a while.
I think we always make grand plans to start doing podcasts more frequently.
And then it just doesn't work, does it?
No, I'd like to say quality over quantity, but as the first
But,
minute
yeah.
or so of this episode has proved, that's not really true, is it?
Mate, it's surprisingly difficult, though, and any adults will know this, that just meeting up, just organising stuff can be an arse, can't it?
Yeah.
Especially when, you know, you're super busy with your new business venture and all that sort of
Well,
stuff.
likewise, I haven't got a YouTube channel to run, mate.
No,
so,
exactly.
so
The
count your
pressure.
blessings.
My
Yeah.
boss, oh man,
Real arse.
he's a real ass dickhead.
But generally, good life. Times are good.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
good, thanks. Yeah, obviously flat. We're still in the flat, which is great.
It's nice.
I'm sure we've talked about that because that's been 6 months. I'm sure we've mentioned that.
Hopefully. Please, an
Please
episode
don't
within the
wanna
last
go
6
back
months.
and it's not there. Yeah, all good, man.
Hey, great. We've got a few different things to talk about today, but primarily, as we always try and start with, do we have any good news?
Well, I did, and then I lost the article. But I'll give you the brief rundown of good news. It's on 3D printing again, which they always seem to be. I think it's just because it's so cool. It's
Yeah.
like, wow, 3D print. But a company was 3D printing sanitary products for women in the third world, which was really cool. And it was like the cost was like super low, and you know they were doling them out as such. You
Right.
know, like not airdropping them, but probably
Sure,
off the back of
sure.
a lorry, I imagine.
Yeah, sure.
Which was pretty awesome. There's some really good stats and stuff about it, how it like made deaths go down and all this sort of thing, which is great.
I can
and,
imagine,
you know, like
man, yeah.
infections and all that nasty stuff. So it was really cool. I'll try and find the article and get it to bed.
It seems like the kind of thing that you'd remember,
Yeah,
right?
I
You'd
know.
write, yeah.
I know. I was so excited to have some good news, but
Well, mate, the thing is that is really good news because I think
good news.
it's easy, not to sound like every other like white person who sits in a westernized country, you know, but it is difficult to imagine the things that we take for granted.
oh, definitely.
That aren't. Like, I'm not trying to get too serious here, or
No,
anything like that,
yeah.
but that's. I feel like it is really, really good news because it's when you hear about things that are super straightforward or super basic. You know, real like basic
Just
human
like
need.
toilets and
Yeah, exactly.
anything like that. Yeah.
Exactly. I remember I was reading about like all the initiatives around the world to stop. What do they call it? It's like open drop or open defecation, where there's plenty of cultures around the world where they just go into a field and
Just drop
poop.
it.
Yeah, and that's it. And actually, they feel like toilets are worse because it's like, well, why would you want to touch something, or why would you want to be like, why would you want to collect it all in the same place?
Yeah,
So it's a really weird kind of different perspective on it.
yeah, too right.
So there's a real push for people to be like, no, you need to be
Yeah.
doing
It's
it like
crazy,
this, or you need
isn't
to
it?
address how you're doing it.
Because it feels like I don't want to say over here, but I feel like, you know, that's been decided a long time ago. That's the right way to do it.
Sure,
like to have
yeah.
a
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. Well, that's it, man. So I think it's always good to hear about the progress that's being made in
Yeah, wherever.
in different places
I don't,
on
even, I
things.
don't even know where it was. I'm so useless. I'll find it. I'll find the thing. It was good news.
It does sound like it. Well, dude, I mean, speaking of basic human requirements, you know, I mean, technology.
Technology.
On the ultimate, like, U-turn of let's be a bit philanthropic and, like, let's
Yeah.
talk about people's basic human
basic
needs.
needs.
Let's talk about Chromebooks.
Let's talk about Chromebooks.
The natural progression from one basic need to another.
Well, we just got. I guess we just got them at work. Like a kind of, I guess, a college-wide thing. Every teacher that works over a certain amount of hours got one. Which is cool because they got a touchscreen and they're like basically a super basic laptop is probably the best way to put it. But as long as you work in Google, like you were talking about maybe working with Google Sheets, or you do, or whatever.
Yeah,
with
sure,
Google
yeah.
Docs and all that sort of stuff. It's They're like super streamlined and amazing. Like really easy to pick up. Battery lasts for ages because it's not really a proper OS. It's almost like a mobile OS.
Sure.
It's like,
Okay.
So the battery lives are always really decent on them. Like I'll use mine at work. I don't use it all the time, but I'll get 2 days, kind of relatively okay-ish. Like, and that's having them open and typing away and browsing the internet. So if all you do is stay online for work, like browse Google, browse. Oh, that's dodgy.
Browse Google, yeah.
Browse the internet, use Google's business stuff like Sheets, Docs, and all that stuff, and it works so well for collaboration as well.
Okay.
So say if you can both work on the same document at the same time, and you both have like different coloured cursors.
I've seen that in
that's really
Sheets
useful because me and one of the teachers up there will work on like a sheet of something together, like a list of stuff we need for going out on a film shoot, and he can start typing up and I'll start typing stuff together, and it's just there. So it's great if you're not in the same room, or if you just need that quick 5 minutes to just bounce off each other.
Yeah,
it's really useful. And then Hangouts comes back into it as well, because I haven't used Hangouts for ages.
Okay,
but
yeah,
on Chromebooks it's so easy to use because it's kind of always there in the corner.
Okay,
and you just quickly type to someone, like, and then if you need to, you can obviously do the Hangout call chat.
Yeah,
if you quickly need to phone them. So it's kind of like everything you need for basic laptop stuff.
Yeah.
And you'd be surprised how I'd say I can probably get away with doing like 90% of the stuff I need to on that.
Sure.
There's like 10% of the time I'd be like, probably could have done that better if I was on my computer.
Yeah. Well, for context as well, we should this isn't us trying to.
Yeah,
we're not shilling Chromebooks here. I mean, it's because it came out of a conversation that you and I had a little while ago, wasn't it? Because I was looking for something new, for a new laptop for work, I think it was.
Yeah.
And it was that realization of like, well, I don't do anything for work except write letters, do spreadsheets.
Yeah.
There's a few other bits and pieces that I do online, but it's nothing. You don't really ever do as much as you think you're going to do.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a whole other topic, but I feel like people who sell us phones, laptops, computers make you naturally, like they would, you feel like you're going to do more with it than you actually end up doing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, well, look, you can do this with like animated emoticons.
Yeah,
it's you can.
But most of the time, we just spend it on the actual internet.
Yeah.
It's like Google Chrome's open, and that's where you spend probably 80% of your time.
Exactly.
And I still do that on my PC.
I mean, and this is it, man. I mean, I do like, because I mean, the conversation came up because I'd never used one. I'd never had no experience of one at all. But I do like the idea of it all being cloud based as well. Where it doesn't matter if you lose it. I know there's some consequences to it, but it doesn't matter too much if it
that's it
explodes or you drop it or lose it.
I guess the only thing where they fall down is if you don't have a connection, and that's when it suddenly turns into like, wow, I really can't do much on it anymore. You can still work on documents and all that sort of stuff. It just won't save. It'll save locally, and then it will push it up to the cloud once you reconnect. But the second you can't load up like a web page or anything like that, and then you suddenly realise that, oh, actually, it's pretty. It kind of loses all its glory, I guess.
But this is it, though. I mean, because you can obviously work offline and do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But isn't it interesting, like the sharing and the collaboration that obviously doesn't work when you're not connected? That's an extra, and how quickly you miss it when it isn't available.
Big time, yeah.
Like, there was that story of was it the first plane with a Wi-Fi connection, and it worked for about 10 minutes and then kind of had a bug and cut out. Everyone started complaining about it, and they were going, a minute ago, you were able to use the internet up in the sky, which you'd never been able to do before. And then just because it's suddenly taken away, you're like, oh, yeah, no, this isn't very good, is it?
A bit rubbish.
It's like, look, it's a miracle. It is good.
A bona fide miracle. But no, the Chromebooks kind of live and die on the internet. Like you can't. If you don't have a connection, it's not worth having, really.
What's also good, I thought, was where they're priced. Sorry, this is sounding more and more like an advert as we talk about. No, but
they are super cheap
because they're put as like an extra rather than it necessarily being your main laptop. But it is like a work thing or a college thing or a studying tool, isn't it?
I guess this is why work's given it to us. But if you have a staff of like 10, do you spend like £600 on a laptop each, or like £200 on a laptop each? Exactly. It does pretty much everything, and again, it sounds like an advert, but they're quick as well. It's because they're not loading much. It's just websites, and computers been able to do that for a long time. Yeah. So it makes total sense. They are really cool. The one we've got's got a touchscreen. I think they're literally only. I looked on the website how much they were. £250 for a Chromebook. Okay. And it kind of bends all the way backwards. Like the weird
sure,
kind of thing. And Yeah, I think it's like I say, touchscreen probably lasts us a solid 4 or 5 years. I can imagine without starting to break down. But no, yeah, they're good.
Cool, man.
But they're not good for no internet.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, is anyone really good with no internet?
No.
Not
well,
anymore.
yeah, exactly.
Not anymore.
But no, they're cool. I think they're good stuff. Like I say, we use them at work for classroom stuff, and Google Classroom, which is another part of that kind of suite, is really good. I won't go into it because it's not massively super interesting, but you can push stuff to students' phones and their PCs and laptops. And like if one of the cool things you can do if the students have got Chromebooks, let's assume every student's got a Chromebook.
Yeah.
If you're on the teacher Chromebook, you can push things to them. So if you're on a website and you say, check this website out, just press push and it'll just go straight up in there.
Okay.
Which is cool, but obviously you need everyone to have that.
Yeah.
There's like, if it's like one of those things, if you're fully into like an ecosystem, I'm sure it's the same if everyone has a MacBook. I'm sure if everyone has like a Windows laptop, you could do the same. But if you're all in there, then it would be like, wow, you're flying now.
Sure.
But it just doesn't really happen.
See, because obviously we'll talk about visions of the technological future later in this. Later in this episode, but it kind of feels like a step towards that. Almost like when you start to see really cool real world, just not necessarily big grand things, but just simple, neat little applications of tech that work in real life. You know, things that make like a classroom more efficient or what have you.
That's it. Well, Apple have just put out a cheaper, inverted brackets there, whatever.
Tom's doing air quotes.
Yeah, air quotes. Apple have just put out a cheaper iPad. Which is like, it's cheaper, it's still 330 quid. But it works with the Apple Pencil, and that was to directly combat Chromebooks, because like I think there's a statistic like it's like 60% of all US students are using Chromebooks, 20% using laptops, 10% using an iPad or something like that.
Okay.
And Apple were like, oh no, sort of thing. They're trying to get back into it. So I think if you look at the iPad website now, it's all like education-y, like, oh wow, look what you can do with like an iPad. But mate, I feel like an iPad is a real like not a rich kid, but a real rich viewpoint of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because
sure.
I don't know, a classroom full of iPads.
Yeah,
I know they're only 330 quid, but then I don't know. I just
no, dude, you're right, man. Because it's still seen as like a premium item, isn't it? You know, it's like it's a desirable is what it is. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas like, and I hate to keep going back to it, but then a Chromebook's much more like, this isn't much fun, but not in a bad way.
Yeah, no,
it's like this does what you need it to do.
Yeah.
And you can get all your work done on it.
Yeah.
And you don't sit there and play games on it because you can't really.
You can't.
Yeah. It's not really made for that.
Get back on board.
Anyway.
That's
enough of Chromebooks.
Yeah. I was going to say, not an advert. Not sponsored. There was another little bit we wanted to just mention. We were talking about, because obviously from I think you mentioned it maybe on your channel at some point. Was a feature of the new iPhone X. Did you mention? Or am I making it up now? Am I just dreaming things that you've talked about on Byte Review?
So I got an iPhone 10 now.
Cool,
which is exciting. Do you know what? I didn't actually like. I was a bit worried I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to get it to talk about it, and I was really worried because it's so expensive.
Sure.
But my contract actually ran out, and I hadn't been thinking about my contract for quite a while since I started that channel, because I knew I was always going to be switching around, so I always kind of ignored it. And then I got a text from Vodafone saying, "Oh, your contract's next week. Renew it." I was like, "Oh my god!" So I got an iPhone 10, but it's like £42 a month, which is relatively high, but not crazy, not crazy money. I had to pay like 320 up front, which is quite a substantial amount.
Sure, yeah.
But I still have my S8, so I can sell that, and it's not really.
Yeah.
It wasn't, basically spending £5 extra a month to have it. So I just thought, well, I'll just get it.
Just dive in. Go straight in.
Yeah, mate, it's really good. I'm one of those people that could happily live in either world. Like, you could hand me a Galaxy or any Android phone, and I'd be more than happy to live with it forever. And the same with an iPhone. Like, if someone pushed them in front of me and said, pick one or die, sort of thing,
sure.
Like, I'd be like, split down the middle. I wouldn't really know, and I'd probably, annoyingly to many people out there, I'd probably end up picking an iPhone, just because I think I mentioned this in a previous video on the channel, but iPhone 5S, which is it's 5.5 years old, is still on the highest firmware of iOS, like 11, and whereas like you can't get an Android phone that would last that long. No way. I mean, most Android phones don't come out with the newest version of Android on them. They come out with some weird skinned previous version.
Yeah, sure.
And then my S8 only just got Oreo, but it's only the first bit of Oreo. It hasn't got like Oreo 8.2. It's just Oreo 8.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. You know, that phone's less than a year old.
Yeah.
And they're still not. They
It's
kind
still,
of lose.
Yeah, it's not 100%.
Yeah, and that's concerning on a privacy kind of matter, I guess.
Yeah.
But also just in general, it's a shame because they really feed into the fact that you'll upgrade every 2 years.
Yeah,
they're like,
yeah.
well, you know, why would you need those updates? Whereas iPhones can stay up to date for that much longer.
Yeah, sure.
Is good.
It's like an assumed cycle, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I know that's how it works. I know people, we make and sell and push phones on the assumptions right, 2 years is up, you're going to get a new one. 2 years is up, you'll get a new one again. But yeah, it is weird. It is weird. I mean, can you imagine? I don't know. I know it would require a whole rework of the entire business model. And I'm not naive here. Like, I know people want to make money off selling new phones. But can you imagine how great it would be if, like, you had a company that were going, no, don't worry about it. That old one, we'll keep it working for as long as possible. We're still pushing updates for it. Like when you hear about video games that people still play online that came out like 20 years ago.
Yeah, because they're still.
They still make it work. They still keep it up to date. They still keep it relevant.
It's like that Team Fortress 2 and like GTA 5. They're still being updated.
Yeah.
Like, they're old.
Yeah.
In terms of game now, they're old. But mate, there's a new thing called Android 1. I think it was called something else before. It's called like Android. It's like a basic version of Android, but they've just called Android 1 now, and any phone on that will get guaranteed updates for like 4 years, which is pretty good.
Okay,
and they're all designed for like India and all these other like super growing markets.
Yeah, sure.
Like Nokia are making Android phones again now.
Oh.
Well, I say Nokia, it's like a HMD Global. They've kind of bought the rights to Nokia, but they're good phones. But they're all Android 1. So when that Google releases the update, they'll get it straight away.
Okay,
and then they'll stay up to date for that guaranteed amount of years, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's cool.
The main issue.
I did want to talk about the notch on the iPhone 10 because I think a lot of people are a bit like, it's horrible.
Yeah.
It is initially, but Face ID is like amazing, and like I wouldn't just say that normally because when I got it, I was a bit like, I didn't miss the home button because like the gesture control is really, really good and you get used to it like literally straight away. It's one of those, Apple used to say, oh, it just works. Like that actually does just work, and it's genuinely like when I went back to my S8 for a week because I went on a stag do and I didn't want to take my iPhone. So such a first world
sensible
problem.
move. Yeah, right.
I switched back to my S8 just in case because I just didn't the thought of getting drunk and smashing it. I was just like, if it's gonna happen, it will happen that weekend.
Yeah.
And I kept trying to swipe up on my S8 to close apps. And I was like, wow, I've only had it for like a month at this point, and I'm already doing that.
Okay.
So that shows it's a good move. And I think there's already a few Android companies have already copied that, which is fine. But the notch obviously is on top of the, for those that don't know, the notch is literally a notch on top of the screen.
It's like a little monobrow,
yeah,
isn't
it's like a monobrow, and the screen kind of goes around it, almost like a hairline, I guess.
Almost like a hairline.
No, but
my phone's got a widow's peak.
Yeah, widow's. But something I read and I really agree with is that I think it's out of necessity at the moment because the only other way they could have done it is just to bar the top off, and they obviously didn't want to do that. They wanted to keep the screen going all the way around. The idea is that it goes the whole way around, and those sensors that are in there can't work under the screen yet.
Sure,
but
okay.
I'm like dead certain that they will.
Yeah, okay.
It probably won't be for another 5. I don't know however many years. Well, you know how quickly it went when we got fingerprint scanner. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then,
sure.
What, 5 years later we've got the face scanner, and then it'll be. I'm sure they'll manage to package it under the screen, so you can get under the screen fingerprint readers, which are pretty cool. And I thought maybe the iPhone 10 would do that, but the face thing. And the good thing is about the notch on the iPhone 10 is that it actually has technology in it. There's actually, the notch is there for that reason as well. It harbours that face scanning technology. But there's quite a lot of Android phones that are copying it, and that there's nothing in there.
Right.
There's nothing that harbours the reason for it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's more like a cosmetic.
Yeah, it's like, we're doing that too.
That's a bit sad.
Which I find really strange because, like, if you have an Android, if you're generally buying a high-end Android phone, you generally, more than likely, have some sort of disposition towards iPhone. Like, I don't want an iPhone.
Sure.
So copying that feature, that notch, for me seems really strange, because most people would be like, I specifically don't want it to look like an iPhone or to act or work like an iPhone. I want an Android phone. And I just find it weird that they'd go for that.
It is
copy.
unusual, isn't it? Yeah.
But I get it. Like, you know, I can imagine loads of companies that just literally just follow that. But it's funny because an Android phone was the first phone with a notch anyway. It's like called the Essential phone, but it's absolutely tiny. And it's like quite neat.
Okay.
But Apple kind of took it out to the big.
Your off the hand like knowledge of old
Yeah,
obscure like
weird,
different Android phones is astounding.
I'd love to say it's my job. But it's not. It's my sad hobby.
no, but for which you are paid as your role as corporate shill for like iPhone and Mac, obviously. You know, Apple obviously paying you plenty.
Got Tim Cook's just on an earpiece. Like,
right.
Remember to mention the benefits.
Yeah.
Yes,
Tell them it's meant to be there.
But no, honestly, you get used to it so quickly. I very rarely notice it anymore. When I do notice it, I'm like, wow, there it is. But basically every app's already updated to work with it.
Sure.
You don't really notice it. It's a bit ugly, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Some people don't like rectangles full stop and are still yearning for like a triangle-shaped phone. A new resolution, a trigonometry-based resolution to fill it. Yeah.
That'd be great. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the notch and the iPhone 10. I really like the iPhone 10 though.
Cool.
I'm like surprisingly happy to be back on iPhone because I enjoy my S8 so much. I would have happily stuck with it.
Yeah.
If I didn't do channel anymore, I would have happily kept it for like 2 or 3 years. I'm just stuck with that. But no, iPhone's awesome. There's one thing that you can't beat from an iPhone, especially on a new iPhone, is it's so quick.
Sure.
It's like lightning speed.
Yeah.
I thought my S8 was relatively quick, although Samsungs generally find kind of slow down after a period of time. That 10 is so literally rapid.
Sick, man.
Which is cool. But yeah, anyway.
Do you want to talk about something else?
Yeah. Stop me.
No, that's fine. It's like, I could talk all day.
Yeah.
There was a big-ish bit of news that's it's not really news anymore, but it's like it's simmering in the in the news sphere.
Like the aftermath is still circling around.
Which is data mining in general.
Yeah.
And specifically for Facebook, obviously they've been in the news, but every company really, it's the idea of what data is held about you in a company's data banks in their servers somewhere.
Yeah.
It's really scary, mate.
So,
It was scary, unexpected, I guess.
Scary, yeah, I guess, yeah, it's as part and parcel of stuff, isn't it? I remember, I think I commented on something on Reddit and it was like, if a service like Facebook, Instagram, Google is free, then you are the product.
Yeah,
they're selling you to these to Google makes most of its money from advertising, and Facebook does too. There's no, Facebook might be free, but you give up your details and your things for it, and that's what they capitalize on and sell.
Well, dude, I completely agree, and I'd say, for paid services, you are still the product.
Yeah.
Honestly, things like Netflix want to know what you watch.
Well, exactly, yeah.
So that they can push.
Why do they have a like button?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do they have a rating system if they're not trying to?
But even, it goes all the way down to small family businesses. Yeah. They'd kill to know everything, and they do, and people do. Small businesses will keep email addresses of their customers,
of course
and then if they've got a sale on, or they have a mailing list at least. Let's assume it's all above board. It's a consensual mailing list.
Yeah.
People buy, I don't know, white goods. Say someone had a business where you were selling fridge freezers for. I can't imagine that
in a small village.
Yeah,
maybe.
you would kill to have the information about every single one of your customers that came through the door.
Yeah.
So that if you can market a new product to them when the time's right.
Yeah, if you knew that their microwave had been on the blink for a year.
Exactly. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if there was some way, which they probably could, of just using that as an example? Imagine if you had the facility to search a person's Facebook feed or Twitter feed for like bloody microwave, always on the blink.
Yeah.
Or washing machine's broken again, got to get it. Got to get it fixed. Then you'd really want to know.
Yeah,
So
and you could get an ad specifically to that person, which is effectively what that Facebook does. still
Oh,
does.
still do, mate. Yeah, I'm sure.
That's
yeah.
what they do. Yeah.
But that's it. I think it's in the news because big businesses are doing it. I think it's not, for me, it's not the technical collection of the data that's the issue, because we know. Like, we know that they know what our email address is. We know that they know what we like and what we don't like.
Yeah, yeah. You give it to them when you like stuff.
Exactly, yeah. But it's the using of it which falls squarely within human nature.
Yeah.
For me, I think that that's how I feel about it. It's what people would naturally do if they were given this power. It would take a lot of discipline, at least.
Yeah,
To say, oh no, we're not going to do that.
Unethical. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mate, I think the reason people got so like, oh my god, about it is because like I think it was Cambridge Analytica took 87 million accounts worth of information, and I think that the ongoing rhetoric is that it tried to sway people to vote one way or the other.
Yes. Yeah.
But then it's almost like I get that that's bad. I do get that that's bad. Yeah, that's awful. But then is that almost the same as saying, well, you can't put up a propaganda poster in this part of town?
Yeah.
Is that the same? That's a similar vibe.
I guess.
Surely.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, right. It is scary what they're doing. I have a solution. I have my personal idea of a solution to this. But it is scary how easily people can be influenced.
Yeah.
I was having a chat with one of my friends the other day. Sorry, you're included in my group of friends, but another of my friends.
Some of my real friends.
Yes. Yeah. No, and oh man, I've lost my train of thought now, I think. Yeah, we were talking about how easy it would be to make a specific advert to say someone. Okay, so take an example of Brexit, and because the Brexit vote is obviously under the magnifying glass here to say were people influenced by the use of mine data? Absolutely. I mean, imagine if you could find people who had lost, God forbid, had lost a family member who'd been killed, run over by a truck, for example, in a terrorist attack, or just killed by someone of a different race. For example, in either direction, whatever.
Yeah.
It would be very easy to sway them with the right type of propaganda.
Oh yeah.
And the right message.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Stop. Not that I agree with, but like the message, like stop these people coming here and killing our kids. Killing our sons if they knew it was a son.
Yeah.
How you could make it super specific
Direct,
to chime with that one, and it's worth it to get one person or however many people would fit the bill.
A handful, yeah.
To vote one way, because it's easy. Because it's super straightforward to then change son to daughter, and you get all the people whose daughters have been harmed or not necessarily killed, but harmed in other ways. It's scary how much people don't think they'd be influenced by that, because that's it. You see people going, oh well, you just don't watch the adverts. You don't see the adverts. You can see when you're being advertised too.
It's almost subconscious though, to some degree, because you scroll past them, your brain still registers it.
Well, dude, I mean, there's that, but then it's like the things you need to look for aren't out and out adverts. It's a choice of whose posts you get to see in your timeline.
Yeah.
It's do you get to see your left wing mate or your right wing mate's posts? Do you get to see the man, your friend who's unfortunately shared a few Britain First posts? Do you get to see that, or do you get to see the people who hate it?
Dude, my uncle always shares them.
I've got a few pop up in my timeline. Yeah,
I know he's not listening, but honestly, he shares them all the time. I'm like, come on, man.
Man, it's like, come on, buddy. But then my favourite one recently was someone was posting up like the it happens every year, and God bless them, like the heroes on the Cadbury's Twitter account who have to answer this. Why have you taken Easter off Easter eggs? And Cadbury's are going, well, we haven't. And it's the Sainsbury's aisle saying, nowhere in Sainsbury's did it say Easter, about our Easter egg. And all of the eggs, look at them, all of them, chocolate egg. None of them say Easter. And people are sharing this shit in my timeline. And it takes one search to go, since the 70s, they've been called chocolate eggs.
Yeah.
It's rare that something gets, it's rare that something gets called an Easter egg.
Yeah.
Because it's a milk chocolate egg, dark chocolate egg, aero egg.
Yeah.
It's not, but people don't want to do that.
No,
They want to scroll on their lunch break through and go, oh, fucking Sainsbury's. Share, this is terrible. And immediately it goes, that's true.
Yeah.
Instead of them going, because I do. I'm not saying that, everyone does it.
Yeah, of course.
Where you read something that you're not particularly interested in, so you don't look into it, you just scroll past and go, oh, right, Sainsbury's have got rid of the word Easter. Fine, scroll.
Bastards, didn't realise that.
Yeah, exactly.
Share.
Yeah. I think
bad.
Right, sorry, mate, I was going to tell you my solution to this.
Go
and I feel like I'm already
solution?
ranting about this a little bit. My solution is, I reckon, social media platforms should just openly politicize, right? I reckon they should
the actual
stop.
company?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon they should start having an opinion on what gets shared and what gets posted. This came up when Tommy Robinson was banned from Twitter.
Right.
And people were going, well, you're limiting his freedom of speech. And it's like, you don't really understand what freedom of speech is. Twitter's a company that he wants to use. If and seriously, I really strongly believe this. If Twitter just went, no, we don't care, we're going to ban people who post things that we just don't like.
Yeah.
Now, commercially, Twitter obviously don't want to do that.
No, yeah, of course
because it's going to be. And at the end of the day, it would only be the real edge cases, the real nut jobs that would get banned.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
But then let them start their own Twitter, and that's fine.
Yeah, it's not.
Let them have their own social media.
Yeah, that's it's almost like saying like someone got banned from a newspaper for writing something really nasty.
Yeah.
That's fine. We'd all be like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
but is
exactly.
that limiting his speech?
No.
It's...
Exactly, mate. Exactly.
No, I totally get that.
And I think Facebook, all of them, should just do it and openly do it as well.
I almost feel like maybe there should just be a blanket ban on anything political on those things.
But you see, but this is the issue though, man, because then it's like... Because, when Theresa May announced she was going to have a government office to deal with fake news, literally to be honest, Nigel Farage made, now I hate the dude, don't get me wrong here, right?
I hate the dude.
but he made the point in such a ham-handed way.
Yeah.
But he could have made a really decent point here. His point was, to sterilise it a bit, his point was, well, who decides what's fake news? Who decides what's the wrong news for people to hear?
Yeah.
Because that's bad. He said a lot of other things with it. He said a lot of personal things with it, but that was the core point. And it is a sensible point.
Yeah, of course it is.
As soon as you start censoring things, who's doing that? And I say, lean into it, roll with it. That's what I mean. I reckon Facebook should go, no, we just don't like it. We don't agree with your views. Go and use some other social media.
Yeah.
But then they won't, because they want, they don't want to exclude anyone.
I get that.
So.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. And I feel like it would be a good thing. 'Cause I think most tech companies, especially like Apple and things like that, they're all left wing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any posts that have been like,
yeah. Well,
we support right wing values. There's not much of that. They're all very inclusive and diverse, and
But mate, this is really good because you hit the nail on the head. Everyone is that kind of centre left, like vaguely, just vaguely a bit more socialist maybe than we're just a bit more kind of easygoing, a bit more accepting.
Yeah, maybe that's part of being a business. I don't know.
It could be.
But that always seems to be. There's always like such a massive focus on diversity, especially if you click like. If you go to any company's like website and then click on the team or whatever, anything like that, it's like we're always working to make sure women are paid equally and all this stuff, and it's always like it's never like we believe that the men at the top should stay here.
Exactly. No, dude,
rarely you see that.
Dude, you're completely right. But I don't think it's just business; it's people in general. I think generally, if you had like a bell curve, I think it would be shifted in what at least people would say they wanted to be.
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't be executing how they live their lives 100%, but they'd like to describe themselves in a way that whether they realise it or not, they're kind of just that left-leaning sort of, I mean, even like, you look at, let's look at some stereotypes, like rednecky sort of stereotypes in deepest, darkest America.
Yeah.
They run a business selling chainsaws to other rednecks, whatever the story, whatever you want. But they'd still be like, if we had people of different races show up, it's like, if they can do the work, that's fine. We don't really care. We go out for a beer afterwards. They'd want to be like, that's cool. If they had a woman on the team, then it'd be like, she's as good as any one of us. Yeah, she's cool. We go out for a beer afterwards. We all go for beers afterwards all the time. But it's that kind of, you can't. It's difficult. It's a stretch to picture those people going, no women are going to work here, or no Muslims are going to work with us, no black people are going to work, any kind of prejudice like that. People don't want to be that.
No.
Some do. Some do. But most don't.
No.
So
although the one place I can imagine that would be deepest, darkest America.
Fair enough. But this is what I mean. Maybe it's now that people are starting to, the edge cases, like the people who do believe that, are starting to see, because we're sharing more and because we're more connected, people are starting to see that, hang on, most of the people I thought I respected, celebrities, musicians, artists, whatever, writers, whatever, are starting to come out, if you like, as being this idea that I didn't think that I was outside of, if that makes sense. So, like, why are there so many people? These liberals, why are there so many people who just want to let people into our country?
Yeah.
Why are there so many? It's like, we've always been there. You're the odd one out here.
Yeah.
I know, like, you probably, because we weren't sharing any of this, like, because these ideas weren't so shared, you might have thought that everyone thought like you.
Everyone thought that way because they're so vocal about it.
Exactly.
And whereas a lot of, I think you're right, a lot of people that are centre left or left.
Yeah.
There's obviously exception to that rule, but I don't talk about it particularly.
No,
I'm not really that interested.
I mean, how often do you see someone posting on like a celebrity's wall or their Twitter feed going, "I used to like you. Stop with the political sharing," or "Stop this," or why don't you go back to making jokes? That kind of thing. And it's like, people have always felt like this. You are just now coming to realise it.
Yeah, definitely.
What were we talking about again? It was data mining, wasn't it? Yeah, I think that's still on topic. Yeah. Scary, quite bad.
But what's the word for it? Top quality podcasting again.
Yeah.
Inevitable.
There are people who say like our children will have no idea what privacy as we think of it is.
Yeah.
Because they'll just accept, we're 100% shared with everyone else, and it's good.
Yeah.
And they go, why would people want to lock away their email address? Who cares? Like, because we've got these measures that work. The system works differently now.
Yeah, definitely.
To take that into account. Oh man, there is something I wanted to just briefly tag on to the end of this.
Go for it.
I'll try and find the TED Talk link to put like in the notes. Who was it? No, I'm not going to remember. But it was a lady who was talking about how whether you give information to these companies or not, because this was the other side of it. People saying, "Oh, just don't use Facebook," or "Don't like anything on Facebook."
Yeah.
But she was saying it's not the data that you think it is when you hand it over. So basically, okay, so if I come at it from a different angle, the point she was making was, if you like a certain page on Facebook about curly fries, you are probably more intelligent. You're probably on the higher end of the traditional IQ scale. She was saying it's nothing to do with the fact that you like curly fries, but it's just an odd correlation, is that people who've liked this page tend to also be in these other brackets.
Okay.
She explains it very well. She's saying it would have probably started by the fact that we tend to be friends with people who are similar to us.
Yeah.
So say you had an academic who started this page for a laugh. Most of his friends would have been academics as well, so they would have liked it.
So
most of them
doesn't match up.
Exactly. So it's immediately weighted towards everything else about the people where this like started, right?
Yeah.
But it extends into other things as well. So it might be how you vote. So it could be because, for example, the data would suggest that people, the more higher educated you are in the UK, the more likely you are to have voted to remain in the EU.
Yeah.
I'm not making any comment about what that means, but you're more likely to fall into both camps if you fall into one. So people who like curly fries would perhaps be more likely to be Remainers, who would have voted to stay in the EU. And all of a sudden you get people, well, I don't put any of my political views on Facebook. But you do without realising it.
Yeah, okay.
Because again, it's the fact that we're pretty clever as human beings. We can find the ways to use these tools, ways to get information out of something, from finding out the mass of Jupiter down to social experiments like this or social data like this.
This is it when people a few friends, and I saw loads of people on Twitter were like, as a hashtag delete Facebook, and those people deleting it because of privacy reasons. And it's like, if you're deleting Facebook for privacy reasons, then you need to stop using Google, you need to stop using Instagram, you need to stop using WhatsApp, you need to stop using, like, there's so many things that go along with it, and people are like, got rid of Facebook, that's it, finally. Yeah. But it's not like that. And like I said before, any service you use that's free, you're the product still. They're still servicing stuff to you, and your data is still being mined. Like Gmail is a classic example. You get, if you're on the website for Gmail, if you don't use a client, there's an advert at the top of the promotions page that if scanned your emails to see what's coming in, and there's the advert for it. That's how Google make their money.
Exactly, man. And the thing is, what I like about Google specifically is they're quite open about it. When you go to the privacy settings for adverts, they go, well, what do you want? And they say, you're going to get adverts.
Yeah, you'll be getting
Would you rather that they're adverts that you might like?
Or
adverts that are nothing to do with you?
And you might as well have the ones, assuming you're okay with it, you might as well have the ones that...
But this is the thing. It comes back to, we've talked about this for a long time, but I think it's worth pursuing. It's when people talk about skipping adverts on YouTube channels,
Yeah.
which I never do when watching horror videos.
We never do. I always click the link to.
Always
visit
click
the
through.
project.
Yeah, absolutely. But in all seriousness, people don't tie up. It's a sense of entitlement. It's like, well, what would you rather? Would you rather pay to watch this video, or would you rather watch an advert with it?
Yeah.
Because, or do you think that it should just be free, and I watch it for free,
And that's the end of it.
and that's the end of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or when Amazon, I think it was Richard Wiseman maybe had an idea about when Amazon's taxes were under the spotlight.
Yeah.
He said, well, what would you rather do? What they should do is on Amazon have two prices.
Yeah.
Go.
The
You can have,
full-
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can have this book for 10 quid, and we'll pay our taxes how we like. We'll
properly.
use the system to pay as little tax as possible, or you can pay 12 quid and we'll pay taxes in the UK. If that's how you do it. And then exactly, yeah. It's like put your money where your mouth is. How
Yeah,
much
right.
do you think we should be paying our taxes in the UK?
Yeah.
Because it means you'll pay more.
Yeah.
So I think it's
I mean, that's
Yeah.
a really tricky one actually, because like big companies are often under, like they don't pay their taxes properly and all this sort of stuff.
yeah.
And I never considered that was for our benefit. I know it's
Yeah.
obviously for their benefit.
Well, yeah,
mostly,
yeah. I think that's it. Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
But I never really considered that if they did, then their price would go up. Of course it would.
Exactly, and it would be worse for us as the end
yeah.
user.
It
There
would,
is
yeah.
no like middle ground there where
No.
it's worse for them and it's better for us. It's
not. It's gonna suck for both of
yeah.
us.
I mean, would you pay for Google? Like, no, sorry, I mean the suite, like so Gmail and
It depends how much it was. If it was competitive, because I think the Microsoft and Apple stuff, or obviously it comes with storage, but Microsoft's like £6.99.
Mhm.
If Google was like $5,
yeah,
because I don't feel like they've got the clout to be like, we're as good as Word. I
No,
just
sure.
because of the history, Word is
yeah,
like
yeah,
everyone knows Microsoft Word. And all
yeah.
that. Maybe. I don't use it personally enough to warrant personally. If I was at a workplace, God, yeah. Yeah, £5 nothing.
I mean, who knows? Who knows where it's going to go, mate?
I don't know. Should we do you want to tie up there?
Yes.
Have a break and then go Ready Player One.
Just do it. Yeah, do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything nice to tie that up with. I think if you're concerned about privacy online, then it's almost worth not being concerned, because they've already got you.
Absolutely. Yeah,
They've
absolutely.
already
Yeah.
got you. Unless you're using some sort of crazy VPN and like
Yeah.
everything goes through Ireland's computers or
Yeah,
something.
but then to be honest, they're probably not going to get through your home defences anyway.
Well, yeah.
If they come for you, then
Yeah.
then the tinfoil hat will
Yeah.
protect you from the aliens. So you'll be fine. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Ready Player One.
I think the best thing to start this off is to preface this by saying we've both read the book.
Yes,
We've
sure.
both read the book. We both really enjoyed the book.
Yep.
And spoilers, straight up.
Oh
straight up
yeah,
spoilers.
I think it's been out for a while, hasn't it?
It's been out for a while. I mean, Randy, if you haven't seen it yet, mate.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, I don't know. All right, that's actually an interesting point. I don't think there's any bit of the story that you could spoil, really, because the storyline goes pretty much exactly how you'd expect it. Once you know the setup of the plot,
yeah, it's obvious.
it kind of goes how you think. Yeah, how it goes.
I think from what I remember, I haven't read the book I read it about 10 months ago. The book.
Mm-hmm.
I think he says the first line is that of the book's like, "This is how I won.
Yes,
I'm 15 years old. This is how I won."
It
something
is.
like that.
Yeah, no, it's something like that. It's very open, isn't it, from the start? Yeah,
So he wins.
And also the things that are. We can dig into this a little bit more deeply, but I just in refresh. I did a bit of reading about the film before we started, just to make sure I got my head in the right place.
Yeah.
And you look at the posters, and even in the posters, it reveals characters who, in the book, it's like a major issue that you don't know who these people are.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting element of it, because we have that now, but it's like taken to the maximum then.
Yeah,
especially the whole H.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
We're just straight up spoilers from now on.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. I'll tell you what. Let's start. You know what? Let's start with that, because there's no right way to go about this.
No.
So the two of his friends in the Oasis, in the big virtual world that they all do most of their business and playing in.
Do everything in,
Two of his friends look completely different in the game to how they look in real life. It turns out. The reason I say this is because I think I said this to you as we left the cinema. Maybe is that in the book one of them is supposed to be quite objectively, traditionally unattractive.
Yeah.
She's supposed to have she has a big great big birthmark on her face. There's a whole point made of like
not described, particularly not unnatural.
This is it. Yeah, I mean, the point is made is that she looks good in the Oasis, but really, there's
she's
so they got her to be played by Olivia Clarke, who is a very beautiful girl.
Yeah. I did think that,
and made it like so she had the vaguest suggestion of a bit of a mark on her face.
it was over the eye. It was a bit like, oh, that's fair enough.
Quite faint.
I remember in the book it's like described as like a short, tiny girl with a massive blotch.
Yeah,
over her
exactly.
face. That's what I remember.
Yeah.
So that was slightly disappointing.
It's like that's the whole point.
Yeah.
And they've gone, oh yeah, but Hollywood won't. She's Hollywood ugly.
Hollywood ugly. Still beautiful.
Yeah. So I wanted to remember to make that point because it really bugged me when we watched it. I was like, oh, what a troll! What an unsightly girl.
Well, mate, the biggest reveal of H is obviously in the book. H, the character of H in the Oasis is a straight up white male dude.
Yes.
Plain as anything.
Yeah.
Like just a standard male protagonist in a game.
Yes.
Like it's like described as dark hair, relatively tall.
Yeah.
Dude. Just your average guy. And in the film, it's almost like a troll, I guess.
Yeah, like an orky kind of.
Yeah, with like a metal interior. I thought it looked really cool. I was really impressed with it. But then in the book, when you find out it's a black girl, who's quite big. I don't think she's described as fat.
And she's gay
big
as well.
And she's gay.
Yeah.
That's a huge reveal in the book. It's like, whoa, you do not expect it.
You know what, mate?
But it's almost like non-reveal.
The thing is, in your description of it, I think you touched on something that I hadn't considered, is the fact that, and I forget whether this is explicitly mentioned in the book, but it's the fact that a gay black woman decides that the best way to represent herself in the online community is as the most normal white bloke
and
as you can.
They made a bit of a deal about that because she explained why.
Yeah.
She said, her mother always said to her, just, try and fit in and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah,
so that's why she picked that character. But I was talking to my brother about this a lot because we saw it together and with you, obviously. And he's like, why didn't they do that? And I said, to be honest, it's probably just the racial feeling at the moment. If they had done that in the film, then it probably would have had some form of backlash somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know what I mean?
No,
maybe they just didn't want to go there.
They would have, actually, mate, it would have been a gamble because they would have had to handle it very well. Because they could have made the same sort of point, and it would have been a sad beat in the story.
Yeah.
And it could have been like, you don't have to do that to fit in. Or, I don't know, maybe they just didn't want to kind of risk it being, executing it badly or it being taken in the wrong way.
I had two big beefs with the film.
Right.
Generally speaking, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
And like I said before, like I said that tweet, and I've already said to you, the more I think about it, the more I think they did a better job of the film in general. But I did have two big beefs. First big beef is the main bad guy, the Nolan Sorrento, whatever he's called, was such a corporate suit with like zero personality in the film, especially.
Yeah.
And I don't remember him being mentioned massively in the book. I remember he's pretty evil and like his intention was just to make money, which is fair enough.
I think it was more that like the IOI needed to have a head in the book. Maybe it wasn't him necessarily.
Yeah,
it was
more
just
IOI in general.
The entity, yeah.
But in the film, I thought he obviously didn't understand the Oasis because he's trying to sell like 80% of the screen real estate. And then his passwords is on the side of his thing. I was like, that's such an like a parent
exactly.
Facebook. Like I almost got it. I was like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But then I thought, no, if he's the head of IOI, which is a massive, he should be like clued up.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way.
It is. Yeah, that's a really good point because it's good to show his character, like you say.
Yeah.
Like it demonstrates he's a bit of a noob in this. He doesn't really know what's going. He's he's a neophyte. He doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you'd think to get to the head of it, he'd need to be.
Pretty clued up. I mean, even his avatar in the game is a dude in a suit. I was just like, come on. When I saw that, I was like, oh, you've got to be joking. He's so devoid of personality that all he can think of maybe that's part of it. Maybe that's part of his character is that he is just evil.
Yeah, sure.
But when I saw when he came out in the Oasis in his suit, I was like, oh, come on.
A slightly darker suit.
Yeah, slightly darker suit, slightly beefier.
Yeah.
Like, I was a bit like, oh, come on. Anyway, that's my first beef. My second main beef was actually the very end.
Okay.
So we've already talked about spoilers. When it's all said and done and that he's got the nice flat or wherever they're living, and he's like, well, we switched off the Oasis on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I was like,
yeah.
And I read an article on this as well, which kind of egged on the fort quite a lot. But I was like, from what they describe, everyone makes all their money in the Oasis. And
Yeah,
all
exactly.
all these poor people that don't have much can only just about get by from that.
Yeah.
And like, we switched it off in these 2 days. Like, I almost feel like that's a really. It's obviously not real. I know it's not real.
It's like, Tom, this wasn't a documentary, right?
But it almost feels like that was a really naive move to make. Like,
Yes.
I get the understanding behind it. I totally get it. You need to live in reality. That's fine.
Look
But
up from your bloody
some
phones once in a while.
Yeah, a lot of people won't have that.
Yeah.
They'll only have. Do you know what I mean? I just felt like it was a bit like, well, that means for 2 days a week
Yeah.
people can't make money, and like, you know, if the world's already messed up as much as it is,
Yeah. Well,
maybe
I
it
mean,
was good. I don't know.
in the, I guess, no, dude. I what I think is, because you're right. I mean, yeah, I feel exactly the same. I think it would be a mistake. I guess though, now that we talk about it, in the book, it's more highlighted that it's like a business thing as well.
Yeah.
I guess in the film, it's assumed that it's just a recreational thing. I know he says at the start that people meet, people hang out.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it is more of just a solely
Maybe so, yeah.
But then people wouldn't. Oh, I'm not going to nitpick on the reality of clearly a fantasy film, but people wouldn't just use it for recreation. You would use it for sensible things or serious things.
Yeah. And if everyone's there all the time, like, I don't know. I remember at the thing is when he meets Artemis, she's like, "Welcome to Resistance. We're trying to make the world a better place."
Yeah.
And then they win. They're like, "Nah, fuck it."
Yeah.
That's the instant thing I got from it. Like, they're just like, "Oh, we've got what we wanted. We've switched it off a couple of days. We stopped them accessing.
Yeah.
We stopped some bad guys accessing it, and that's it, really."
Yeah.
I was a bit like. I was expecting him to say we've started working to get the stacks turned into houses. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes.
Something good.
Yeah.
Because what comes out of it is almost a teenage fantasy. He's got the girl.
Yes.
He's got all the power. Whatever. It's a bit like, and I think in the this almost leads into. I don't have 3 beefs, but if I did have a third beef, this would be the third beef. I think in the book he doesn't actually meet Artemis. It's literally the last page. He doesn't meet her for all this huge amount of time.
Yeah,
and
it's very. It's when because they go to his business partner's house.
Yeah, and that's where they have the final battle. Then at Og's place rather than the van.
I think he meets her. Yeah, I think he meets her. So you're right. It's right near the end.
It's literally, and then he sits next to her and they hold hands or something. It's classic awkward kids just meeting. And I think the last time in the book, it's like for the first time ever, I didn't want to log back into the Oasis.
Yeah.
And that was like a really nice way to end it. There was no mention of them trying to do anything else. It was just like, they just ended on the cusp and he finally met her.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, that's the main story there.
Yeah,
It's him meeting that girl and almost a classic love story, I guess.
Yeah.
But the beef at the end was that. There's a good article on it. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, sure.
It's an interesting read.
I had a beef. Disco scene.
Disco scene?
Yep. Didn't like that.
Didn't like it.
Well, no, dude. There are a few. Right, there are a few bits through the film where I kind of went, oh, yeah, kind of just a little bit of it because it was for the most part the film I felt did this really well, but it was any moment where they kind of just misjudged how people talk or how people appreciate pop culture. That I think there are maybe a few clinging on stereotypes of people who are really into movies or really into music or whatever, that made me kind of wince a little bit, just a little bit. But then they busted out Bee Gees onto the disco dance floor. And dude, I didn't think it needed it.
just didn't need
think it needed it. No.
Mate, I was thinking about that scene in particular because I remember in the book, it's Og's place. That's his disco or something.
It's his birthday party,
people,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's invited all the the big hitters that have done well and all that sort of stuff. And IOI does invade. But I remember Og destroys all of them.
Yeah.
And then kind of raises them out. And the bit at the book that followed the film that followed the book really well is when Artemis and him split up. And she says, "Don't use your name. Don't you dare."
Yeah.
That bit was done really well because suddenly it just shows how little they really know each other.
Yeah,
that's
sure.
the scene when you're like, oh god, he's obviously fallen head over heels for her, and she's like, no way, we're not talking anymore.
Don't forget.
I remember in the book there's quite a big part of distrust then.
Yeah.
Because I think Artemis does the second challenge on her own, or
that's
like
it.
That.
Is she takes the that's it in the
falls
story.
Behind relatively quickly.
Yeah.
I think, and he gets a bit depressed. That's from what I remember. I might have to read it again, but I probably will read it again after this. But yeah, mate, and the one more thing. This isn't on the positive side.
Sure.
As like I say, I think they did a good job, and I think one of the reasons they did a good job is because, like we were mentioning earlier, that film is directly aimed at, or the book is directly aimed at people who are like probably just approaching their 40s, played Atari when they're younger and all these things. And I think the Oasis, that whole thing is the promise of what those games first delivered. Like, this is crap now, but one day it'll be like this. And I think that's probably what they're leaning into.
Yeah.
But that's an incredibly niche market. If you think about it, that's really niche. That's probably blokes that played those games when they're younger and grew up loving all that sort of stuff. And a film can't really be niche, especially if it's supposed to be a blockbuster.
Exactly.
So how do they open that up? And I was talking to my brother about this, and then we're talking about the first challenge in the book is like a Dungeons and Dragons / arcadey thing.
We should say, shall we, that the plot is really completely different.
It's different.
That's worth mentioning. Yeah. The book, that even down to the nature of the challenges.
Yeah, the challenges are all
is
over.
Completely. It's. I think it was written. Ernest Cline obviously wrote the screenplay. Collaborated on the screenplay. So it's his idea.
Yeah.
But it's completely different the way it plays out. Sorry, but you were saying because the first challenge is different in the book.
Yeah. So the first challenge is like a Dungeons and Dragons stroke arcade cabinet challenge almost, isn't it? And that I can't imagine that translating well to a film. Whereas a race, I can, and you see it, and it's like, wow, it's like a massive spectacle, and I totally get that. I almost can imagine the conversation they have. Like, right, look, there's only a certain way we could probably make a Dungeons and Dragons themed thing exciting. Yeah, but we could do something like a race where there's a secret within the race that no one's managed to unlock, because the race Easter eggs are thick and fast.
Yeah.
And they were cool as well. I really enjoyed that first race. Yeah. I was like, this is awesome.
It is very intense.
He had the DeLorean and he's picking up the money, and it showed like quite a few things of how it works as well.
Yes.
So when people exploded into money, it's like, okay, so that's how they get that. This is what they have to do, and like it shows you how crazy the place is as well. I like that. Yeah. But the Shining bit was so good. I really, really enjoyed that. That whole section was funny, hilarious, and it wasn't. It's actually a funny film. It's generally there's parts in there which are funny.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And they're not not forced jokes or anything like that. No, it's just
the situation when they're all in their avatars walking down the stairs in the Shining's building. I was just like, that is so surreal.
Dude, the thing is, from a filmmaking point of view as well, they've nailed the look of it. It's even down to the filming technique. It's
stunning,
emulated with the actual look stunning. Of the film grain, that kind of thing. Yeah. It's really well done.
I think the best part is when H like, is it a scary film? Yeah. And they're all like, a little bit.
Yeah, just a bit.
That whole scene was great. I really enjoyed that. And again, that's not in the book.
Yeah.
There's like elements of that, but not of the Shining.
Yeah. I think it's I think it was adapted well. Like, I mean, it's one of these things to try and cling on to all of it. But then it's like when you break it down to the things you actually remember that were enjoyable about the book, they took a lot of explaining. But it's fine. In the book, it's fine. Because he'll walk you through like, and then I knew this because, I had to go on this quest and I did this. And it's a lot of stuff that definitely works better in the medium that it's in. I think that's it's good like that. Or in the same way that people were pissed with Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings is a book, it works as a book. If they'd have translated it directly across, it would have been a long, dreary film.
Yeah, too right.
So I think it's good that they weren't too. I suppose it is good they weren't too precious about keeping it beat for beat to the book.
Mate, I think it looked great as well.
Yeah,
there was no part with the CG where I was like, it all looked cool.
The only bit, the bit that this was quite well done as well, I thought. And again, we're into deep spoiler territory here, but where they make Sorrento believe that he's still in the Oasis when he's not. No, well, he's not in the Oasis when he is. Sorry.
Yeah.
When they talk to him as themselves, I remember watching their faces in that, and it's just a little bit uncanny as they move around. You can just see that his face has been. It's like they've computer generated the main actor.
Yeah, over him.
Yeah, and that was quite well. I looked at that and thought, that was a bit sloppy. But then, like a minute later, you see why, and you go, right, okay, that's cool. Yeah. There's a lot of people making the same sort of point online about the storyline. Yeah. They're saying most of these challenges would have been solved in Reddit in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because it's the way people do it, you know.
When he had to go backwards on the track, I was like, the problem is people go backwards on Mario Kart for fun.
Yeah.
Like if that people would have found that out straight away.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe it's because I thought about that for a long time. So
Yeah,
sad.
right.
And I was like, maybe it's because he had his foot to the floor. Because I remember when he goes to check the memories, he's like, why can't we put our foot to the floor and go backwards? And maybe because it was, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
I have a question about that bit because obviously he gets the idea for what to do at the race from watching one of the creator's memories. But it's the fact that he says in a seemingly random conversation with his mate, says exactly what you need to do.
Yeah.
I was half expecting him to like look at the camera of the memory, like when he's watching it.
Yeah.
Because that would have said, I put this in this memory for you to find.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's a very clearly
Very
worded
specific thing to say.
Yeah, so when he's making the Easter egg later in life to go, oh, I remember that conversation I had.
Yeah, how would he
like
remember?
30 years before. So if he'd have maybe, because I was expecting, like I say, for him to have made his eyes, you know, and to signal, I see you watching this memory.
Yeah.
Yes, this is a thing.
This is it. Yeah.
I've put this here for you to find. But yeah. I think it would have been like, would you ever play Fez?
Yeah.
Right? Did you ever see like how in depth that game goes with the puzzles?
Yeah, it's insane.
It's absolutely nuts. But yet you can still see kind of immortalized on Reddit. You can see the process of people figuring it out gradually.
Yeah, mate, that's the one thing I totally agree with, especially with the track going backwards and all that sort of stuff. Is it would have been found out within hours. If you've got everyone, let's assume like 2 billion people playing the Oasis at any one point, they would have figured it out.
And that's the thing as well, is that I know they talk about clans and I know there's things like that going on, but I think a lot of the premise of the game relies on the fact that people wouldn't work together when they would. People absolutely would.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because they'd want it to be solved more than they would want to solve it by themselves.
Yeah, well, I think again in the book, it's been like 10 years and no one's figured anything out. So a lot of people have just given up.
Yeah.
Whereas it's not particularly the case in the film.
Yeah, because in the film it almost skips it completely skips the first bit where it's the hunt for the first clue.
Yeah, there isn't.
It just goes, oh yeah, someone stumbled on it by accident and this portal opened up.
Yeah.
So now we can all go to the race.
Yeah, it's like,
oh right, okay,
there,
cool.
there it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
Whereas
I mean, fair enough to get to the get to the chase, but
as soon as I wrote about it, Matt was like, they got rid of all the Lundis bit where he learns everything, and that's quite a large chunk of the book.
yeah,
In the first line, I was like, but if you think about it, wait, what? I don't know what it would do for the film if he was in Lundis being bored and being poor.
No,
because that's kind of all he does. Is just like, oh, I'm so bored and poor, like, I can't do anything.
yeah.
Character.
Isn't he really chunky in the book as well? And he loses weight. Like he puts on a load of weight.
He does during the second when he's trying to find the second chance, because he moves to an apartment, doesn't he?
He does,
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
He says he got really depressed after Artemis found the second one and stopped talking to him, so he started eating.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
got fat, and then he did a gym thing.
That's it. Yeah, it was like he had to do so much gym before he was allowed back into the Oasis.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's cool little bits like that.
The drones were really good. I thought the drones were done really well.
yeah.
They even got the sound just down to the T.
Yeah.
But I can imagine drones being like, delivering stuff.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It did it flesh. I mean, in terms of obviously all the references, and I say references, it's just characters appear or bits of music appear.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm being a real. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a prick about this here, but I feel like a reference should be. It's not just, oh look, there's a character.
Yeah.
It should be maybe like a bit of dialogue or like a setup that's the same. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe because it was stuffed to the gills.
It was, mate.
And maybe
yeah,
it was
yeah.
just, which is fine because the book it's totally stuffed. But maybe they just started like, okay, we need to explain this, and thought, mate, no, just chuck it all in. If people see it and like it, then cool.
Yeah, that's it.
And
Yeah, yeah. No, it was intense.
Like I say, I enjoyed it. I think it's definitely worth seeing, but I'd say definitely read the book if you can.
Yeah, if you can read.
If you can read, yeah. No, a couple of my own friends saw it and they're like, yeah, it was all right. I was like, but the book's so good. But then every book adaptation's never as good as the book, is it? You always hear that.
Sure. And the thing is, the story that you create for yourself in the book as you're reading it.
Yeah, it's never.
If it's even slightly different,
you
think no good.
No. It's funny because when I saw the characters of Parsifal and H and all that, I didn't shock me that much because I don't think I ever really thought about how they'd look. Weirdly, when I was reading the book, when it describes H a little bit,
yeah,
and it doesn't really talk about Sho and the other Japanese dude.
No.
From what I remember, it doesn't really mention. I think it mentions they use katanas, and that's about it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the same with Parsifal. I can't really remember what he wears.
What he's supposed to look like. Yeah.
It's funny as well. In the book, they sit down. They don't have like a running treadmill thing.
Okay.
He was just in his little place where he plays in the back of the van. I remember him in the book. It's like he sits on like an old garden chair.
Oh yeah,
and then he's
of
just
course.
got the gloves.
Yeah,
he hasn't got the suit,
that's
and then he does get the suit, but I don't know what happens. I can't remember really.
Yeah,
I don't remember there
details.
being but I get why they put that in. Makes it way more believable.
Yeah,
'Cause
sure.
How else would you do all those things?
Yeah.
But
It was cool though. It was cool.
It was good.
It was a very cool film.
I think I've said all I want to say about it. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
it. I'll definitely watch it again when it's out on hopefully Netflix. or
Yeah,
something.
sure.
I'd love to say I download and buy films, but I don't. I literally just wait for it to come to Netflix, and if it
Yeah.
doesn't, I'm like, well, I'll never watch that again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I completely forgot about you. Yeah, I think my trouble with it would be that I would be wearing out the pause button because on the second
Yeah.
viewing, I'll be going, "Oh, was that who I think it was?" and rewind,
Yeah,
watch again, click, play.
Well, one more thing, I guess, was worth talking about. The character of IROC was changed quite a lot.
Yes,
He's in it very briefly.
I was
at the
going to say,
start.
yeah,
He hangs out of H a bit, doesn't he? Brags about all the things that he knows, and then
yeah,
I think they just ban him from the room or something. That's
yeah.
it.
It's something like that. Yeah,
and
yeah.
just don't hear from him again.
I guess they needed. Well, it's the standard like henchman, isn't it? You need to
Yeah.
have like a secondary antagonist, I guess.
Yeah.
But even then, he didn't really.
I mean, he's kind of bad.
He did a bit, but it's like it was his main role was just to fight them at the end of the big fight at the end.
Yeah, definitely.
I suppose it could have been all of his other roles, like where he hears his name, could have been achieved with a bit of a camera or I bugged him and so I got his name.
Yeah. That was
But yeah, it was good though.
No, it's good. I think that's what I want to say on Ready Player One. I enjoyed it. I'll watch it again.
I think that's wrapped up.
That's wrapped up.
So that's this episode
Oh my
all wrapped
God.
up.
It's gone.
You know what? We would have done question from the box, but I forgot to get the box out before we
Right.
started recording. And man, it's over there, and I'm not
question,
gonna.
question from the cube can wait.
Yeah, question from the cube. We'll love it even more when we come back to it. Thanks for listening through to another episode of It's
Cheers,
Tom,
Randy.
where can people find? Yeah, cheers to like the two people who are at the end now. Tom, where should people send you a message if they wanted to?
If they wanted to, at Bite Review on the old Twitter.
Hey, fair enough. I'm at Benji One Lung. Thanks as always to Tony Thaxton for our theme, and I think that's everything
That's
that we have to say.
Goodbye.
Leave us a comment.
Leave us a
Go
comment.
on, do it.
Randy.
Do
Leave us a
it.
comment.
Do it. Thanks very much. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.